Hey designers, welcome back to my new online store series where I'm showing you the full process of building out my online store using Webflow Ecommerce. If you're like, series? What series? And you missed the first video, then you can go and watch that in the description, or there'll be a link up on a card up there as well. In that video, I gave you an introduction to Webflow Ecommerce, showed you how all the settings work, showed you how to set up products, add custom fields and things like that, and basically got everything ready to go with my online store so that today we can get into the building. We're going to start with building out the product page, and all those custom fields that I showed you are going to come into play. If you remember, in that first video I gave you a sneak peek at some of the designs for my store. This right here is the product page that I'm going to be building out today. So we've got a big colorful background, and that color is actually going to come from a custom field related to the category. I'm going to show you how all that works. We've got the images with a little carousel. We've got a shopping cart up there. We've got some other products linked down below. This is going to be a fun one to build out, so let's just stop talking about it and start actually doing it. Let's dive in. Okay, so something I didn't show you in the setup video was once you enable e-commerce, get all the stuff sorted, if you come into pages, you can see that now you're going to have some e-commerce pages showing up. Just like when you create any CMS collection in Webflow, it makes a template page for items in that collection. So basically, whatever you put in this template, it'll fill with data from other collection items, and that'll be how it's displayed. So we've got a products template, we've got a categories template, we've also got a checkout and an order confirmation here that we'll get into in future videos. But let's start with this products template. And like I was talking about, with other online stores, you're often given like a layout and there's customization you can do in skinning it. With Webflow, you get a complete blank page, which is exciting for a designer. So let's get started building out by design, and building out a products page works just like building out any other page in Webflow, where I'm going to click on this left panel here to add my elements, which is like adding the HTML to the page. I'm going to start with a section, and you style it using the right-hand panel, which is like adding the CSS. I'm going to make sure I'm using like good habits throughout building this out. I'm going to add a class for my product header. And right away, I'm going to show you how I get that colorful background. If I come over to the settings here, I can see that there's some dynamic style settings where I can choose to like fetch an image, fetch a color. I'm going to get the background color from my color field within the main category. Then I can show you that if I go through and select a different item that I know is in a different category, the color will change. I like working with the pink though, so let's go back to that. I'll start by building out my navigation, and I'm going to make this a symbol because it's also used on my category page, so it would make sense for me to only build it once and then reuse it. Oh hey, it's voiceover Charlie here to tell you what I'm actually doing during these sped up parts. In this bit here, I'm just adding a block and adding an image to put my logo in, increasing the padding on this nav bar here to give it some space, and then adding another block to add my menu stuff into. Once you've enabled e-commerce in your Webflow site, you're going to see a new component as well, which is a cart. As you saw in my design, I have the cart up here in the navigation, so I'm going to add that in and get to styling it. Because I'm building the store within my main website, I can go ahead and use any of the classes that I already have set up and I'm using on the rest of the site. So like, for example, I have a little button class that like rounds the corners and makes the text into uppercase, matches all the rest of the button styles on my site. Here I'm just changing the colors to match my design, making the button green and making the little quantity icon purple. This component comes with a little shopping cart icon, but I actually want to use my own icon for it because I have like a more outline style on my website. So I'm going to delete this because I can fully edit this component. And I'm going to go ahead and add an image in. There we go, now I've got my own little shopping cart icon. Now adding a shadow to the button just to give it a bit of depth. I'm going to make use of flexbox to get my navigation to have both things sitting on either end, so let's just change it to flex and add that setting. Here I'm adding a new div block for my menu button to go in and just changing the flexbox setting so it sits in the right place. For my menu, I'm going to make use actually of the fact that I can copy and paste things from other pages on my site. On my blog, if I come into this component here, I'm going to copy this menu button. Copying things from other pages on my site is really just simple as selecting the element, clicking Command C and clicking Command V back on the new page that I want to paste it in. So that's what I've done here with my menu button and the content inside it. And now I'm just editing the styling to make it match my design, sit nicely with enough space around it. For the contents inside the menu, basically it's a div block that I set to be display none until you click on the menu button, and then it goes to display block. So that's what you see me doing here. I've got it set to display block so I can see it as I make all these style edits. I'm putting it into a purple box with slight rounded corners. And then I've got it set up so that on the accordion, if you click on the menu button, it'll show the menu. Okay, that's my menu finished, so I'm going to save it as a symbol, just in preparation for the future when I want to use it on some other pages. Now let's get into the fun part of bringing in our product information. So first of all, I'm going to make sure that I have my container selected, and I'm going to add 2 columns. It's always a good idea, just when you're building out a website in general, to look at your design and imagine it in blocks, because the web is built with blocks. In this first column, let's add a heading, and I'm going to choose to get the text from products from the name field. Then it's going to have the name of my product there. A little button that shows what category it's in, and I also want to make it a link to my category. So I'm going to choose to link it to the main category page and get the text from the main category field. And I have a style that I already used on my blog for topic tags that I'm going to reuse. Here I'm getting the text field, making that text white, adding in the price as well. And you can see me flipping back to Figma here to check out what settings I had on the type in my design, and then basically just applying those here in Webflow as well to match the design. And here I'm setting up a new div block in preparation for adding my image carousel. For these little thumbnails, I'm going to get the images from my category. So this first one will be the main image. The image is set as the background for this box, so I'm changing the settings here to make the image fill the background and to not tile, so that we're just seeing the whole image centered in the frame. Then duplicating that, swapping the background images out for the second image, the third image, etc. So that they'll all appear here as little thumbnails. I don't actually have a 4th image for this product, which is why when I set it to get the background image from that field, it shows nothing because there is nothing there. I just want to use some conditional visibility on this field so that it only even shows up if there is a 4th image available. So I'm going to set a condition to say if 4th image is set. Because it's not, it disappears. I think all of my products have at least 3 images, so this should be fine for now. Another new item that you'll see in your elements panel once you've enabled e-commerce in your Webflow store is this add to cart item, which is only available on the product page because that's the only page you can add something to the cart from. So let's add this in here. This is like a prepackaged component with the add to cart button and also a quantity field, so you can increase or decrease how many you want to buy. And just like I did for the cart button that appears up in my top navigation, I'm just adding classes and changing the styling of this component to match my design. And just like I showed you with the cart button as well, even though this comes as like a prepackaged component, I can still edit things inside it. So I want to put the quantity and the drop-down selection field, on the same line. So to do that, I'm going to put them both into a div. I'm going to set that div to be flex, and they'll both go next to each other. To get this part working, where I've got this colorful block behind my image, obviously I want that to change color based on the main category color as well. So what I'm going to do is I've got it to fetch the background color from products, and then I'll come in here to background. I'm going to add a color overlay on top essentially. So it's got 2 backgrounds, and let's make this 30% opacity. Now to bring in my product image, I'm gonna get it to fetch the image from that field. So to be able to see the color block behind it, I've done something similar on my blog. As you can see here, I have this colorful block behind a blog post. Basically what it's done is it's all in a relatively positioned block. This colorful block is positioned absolute and it's like shifted to the side a bit. And then the white block on top has a higher Z index, which basically controls like where in the layers things go. So I'm going to do the same thing here basically. We'll give the product image a relative position and a Z index of 3. Then our color block, we're going to give an absolute position. And that just reminded me, I need to make it 100% width and 100% height, so it goes the same size. And then we're going to get it to peek out just a little bit by changing where it's positioned at the top and the left. And to get this looking right visually in terms of the overlap that I've got going on here, I'm just going to select this whole like block that I've got here and put a negative margin on the bottom of it, which kind of makes it be able to overlap. Looking good, right? We're kind of matching our design. This part here isn't functioning yet though. What I want it to do is like if you click on this image shows here. If you click on this image shows here, etc. So let's get that working. But first, I'm going to actually add in all the images and I'm going to do some like show and hide stuff with interactions so that when you click on the button, the right one shows, if that makes sense. So here I'm duplicating this main image and then swapping out the background image so that it fetches the image from all the different image fields I have set up in my product collection in the CMS, and adding classes to it so that I can work with them in a second. Okay, so those other images are all in here, they're just hidden right now, and we're going to control when they get shown with an interaction. So over here on my first thumbnail, I'm going to add a interaction when you click or when you tap on it. I'm going to make a new custom animation. Essentially what I'm building for this interaction is, so for every one you click on, it's going to make sure that the one you clicked on shows, and it's going to hide all of the other ones. So I've set the main image to show in this case, and then let's set all the other ones to hide. And that means that no matter which one is currently showing, if you click on another one, it'll disappear. So what I'm doing here is going through each one of my thumbnails and setting the interaction on them to have the correct image as display block and all the other images set to display none. Now if I preview this, I can show you that, see, if I click on each of these, it'll show me the image that relates to the thumbnail. And I can see that I need to add some padding here in my header section. Since this is a link now, I also want to make it like act like a link. So I'm going to add a hover state to these image thumbnails where once you hover over them, the opacity of the image dims a little bit, just so that, you know, you're aware that it's doing something. And we'll also change the cursor so that it looks like a link too. There we go, that's much better. Let's add the footer in next, just because that's super easy. I'm just going to copy and paste it from another page because, like I said, I'm building this within my existing website, so I can do that. I'm just going to copy this whole block here, come into my product template, make sure the body is selected, click paste, and there we go, there's my footer. If you're wondering what this bit is, I use ConvertKit forms on my website. Obviously, I work for ConvertKit, so I'm going to use that for my email marketing. So this is like the JavaScript form embedded. So once the site is published, it'll show up as my form. Right, let's work in this middle section here on adding in the other products. I'm going to add a new section. To account for the fact that I've got this product image overlapping, I'm going to add a lot of padding to the top of this bottom section just to like, you know, make sure that none of my content in this gets overlapped. I don't know if you've noticed throughout that I haven't really been having to do much type styling apart from applying some classes to make it white if it's on a colorful background. And that is because, let me just come in here and show you. I set up a style guide page when I first started setting up my website, and that's where I styled all my headings and things. This is all styled based on the all H1, styled on all H2, whatever. If you set that up at the very start of your project, it's really going to come in handy for all of the pages that you build. So yeah, that's why styling all of the type has been so fast for me, because past Charlie did that when she first set up the website. Anyway, back in here, this is going to be an H4, and I also have a class that puts text in the center. In my design above this also checkout, there's this little line here, and I'm going to do this just by making a div and setting like a 2 pixel height on it. So to make this little divider line, I have made a div block. I'm measuring in Figma exactly how wide that is, setting that to be the width of the div, and then a couple of pixels high. Changing the color of it to match my design, and also setting the margin to be auto so that it hangs around in the middle. Then I'm going to come in and add a collection list, and the collection that I'm going to connect it to is products. I'm going to set it in 3 columns. And in the settings, I'm going to limit the items to only showing 3. And then for the order, I'm going to select random order. So it's just going to suggest some random products for each one. I could set it to like only show ones that are also in this category, but I don't really have enough products to warrant doing that, so random it is. As you'll see, whatever I add to one div block in this collection list, it'll automatically add to all the others because they're designed to be all the same. So I'm making the background gray to match my design, adding a new color here to my palette. Changing the padding of it, adding in a link block where it'll include my image so that if you click on that, it'll be a link. And then editing the styling of those images to match my design, adding a shadow, removing the underline that gets added to all my links on my site automatically, all that stuff. Adding in my type and connecting that to all the related CMS collection fields, and then adding in a button as well. I'm going to do something with the color field here too, just basically finding any excuse to use it because I think it's cool. I'm going to get it for this button to get the background color from that field, and that way the color will match the category that it's in. Just adds like a fun touch, you know. Can I use my trusty friend flexbox to make these things sit next to each other nicely? And then in my design, I was doing another little overlappy thing with having the image sort of pop up out of the card. So again, I'm going to use negative margin to make that happen. And also to account for that overlap by adding some margin to the top of like this whole box that's wrapping it. And then right here is where I realized that if I want these blocks to be of equal height, I actually shouldn't use the columns of the CMS collection list here. Instead, I should set my own widths to these blocks. That way I can use the stretch setting in Flexbox to make all of these blocks the same height. So we've got all of our products in. I'm just going to make this button link to the product that it's meant to. And what else do we need to do? I think we can do something a little more fun with these images on hover. So I'm going to say that if you hover on this product card, let's do this. I'm going to start an animation to move the image. And so that I don't have to set all the details of this interaction up on every single card here, I'm going to have it do it by class and only children with this class. So that means that it'll only be things with that class inside this thing that I'm hovering on that will do the action. So we're going to get it to move up ever so slightly when you hover on it. It's going to be nice and smooth. And actually, let's do that. There we go, when I hover the images go up, but I also need to make them go back down when you stop hovering on them. So on hover out, we'll make a new animation. That will make the image go back to 0. again with some nice easing. Let's test that. Boom, there we go. So now our images do something cute whenever you hover over this card. Should hopefully draw some attention to them, get people checking out more prints. Okay, so this is our page. It's looking pretty much like the design. Now let's just go through and check it on the different breakpoints, see what we need to change. I think that would be all right as it is. This we obviously want to do something a bit different with. I set these containers up to be like a third of the width so that 3 would fit on a row. So at this point, we're going to make them change to 50% width. And then this whole thing, I'm going to set it to wrap everything. And also, let's center it. Don't need quite so much padding here because this thing is not overlapping. On mobile, I think I will center all of this stuff up here. I think that'll look good. So I'm just going to select this container that it's in. So here I'm adding a class to center all the text, changing the setting on flexbox for the image thumbnails, adding some more padding, going through to the lower breakpoint as well, and making these more product cards be 100% width at this point because it's really too small to have them only be 50%. So we have my finished product page. It's looking good on all devices. I've got my menu, I've got my images switching out, which is cool. You can change the quantity here. And if you want to, you can go see another product by clicking down here. Something I just realized about this products list as well is obviously I don't want it to show the product that's on the page that we're on. Does that make sense? So I'm going to come in here to the filters and I'm going to say product is not current product. So now it's only going to show me stuff that isn't that. And just so you can see how this color is working at the top here as well. This print is in the screen prints category. The color of that category is set to pink, which is why the background's pink. But if I go to this map, then the background will be purple because for maps, the color is purple. That's our product page done for now. That was a whole lot of building, so thank you for sticking with me till the end here. Hopefully you can see that working with e-commerce and working with products in it to build this page is just like working with any other CMS collection in Webflow where I'm attaching, getting text from this field, getting an image from this field or whatever to work with all of the data about my products. Coming up in the next video, the next thing that we're going to build together is the category page and also the storefront, which I have some very exciting plans for, especially to do with interactions. We touched on a few of them here in this video, but yeah, got some more big ideas for the next one, so stay tuned for that. If you want to get into Webflow and start building out your own online store, maybe for yourself or for a client, then there's a link on the screen right now and also in the description where you can go and do that. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching this build process, and I will see you in the next video for building out that category page and the storefront. All right, I'll see you then. Bye.